Welcome to the SBDC's Business Blueprint, where we guide entrepreneurs through building blocks of business success, one insight at a time. I'm your host, Jeffrey Beckles, and today we're looking into the foundational steps to becoming a successful entrepreneur in the Bahamas and the importance of formalizing your business. We've got an informative discussion lined up for us today, and we are privileged to have joining us today two distinguished members of the Department of Inland Revenue, Operations Manager Dexter Fernando and Registration Supervisor Charlene Barton. We've got a lot of important information to discuss, so let's dive right in. And so, welcome, Charlene, welcome, Dexter. And of course, the Department of Inland Revenue is a single government agency that touches every facet of business. So, give us a snapshot overview of the role of the Department of Inland Revenue.
Well, thank you for having us. The department governs a plethora of real property tax matters, business license matters, value-added tax matters, stamp tax matters. And as related to SBDC, we are that central agency that help those individuals as it relate to being a regular rater, as we get them in the start of doing business within the jurisdiction. That being from a temporary business to an occasional business to annual business. So we handle those real property tax matters that are handling with the Bahamas Investment Authority. If you are looking at different types of partnership of relationships. So we are the regulator for business license. So everyone looks at us. And then that horrible word individuals are hearing about VAT. And so we are the registrants for value-added tax, business license, real property tax.
So, you are an agency that actually interacts with almost every other government agency to facilitate business in the Bahamas. Charlene, when businesses talk about licensing and registration, your role is to register or assist in registering businesses. Tell us a little bit about how that works so that our listening audience can understand what they are obligated to do when they register their business.
Okay, that is correct. As it relates to registration, everything is easy for you now. You can go on a website, on our platform. You can fill out your trade name. You can get your agency approvals. It's pretty much once you have an idea what it is you want to do, you can then go ahead and do these steps through our website. Everything is there. You can do it at the ease of your home. There's not really a need to come to our office anymore. Everything is done strictly right at home on your computer, ease at your time, 24 hours a day.
Gone are the days when people thought that I can just have an idea, go set up shop on the side of the street, and do my thing. Is every business required to register?
Yes, every business is required to have a business license and register with the department.
Regardless of the service, regardless of the size, every business is required by law to register.
That is
And,
correct.
and the reason I emphasize that is there are still people in the Bahamas who believe that it's okay to go and start my business and not register. So, what are some of the challenges then that have been shared with you? There's been a lot of talk in recent years about the challenges and so forth and so on. But we've gotten a lot of feedback. You have gotten a lot of feedback, and that's one of the things I recognize that the Department of Inland Revenue has made it taken great steps to ensure that they garner feedback. But what are some of the challenges that you see every day on a day-to-day basis, particularly from small businesses who are trying to navigate this space?
Well, one of the major challenges is that we get applications submitted with not all the requirements in. And once you submit that application, your 21-day period starts. So my advice would be to make sure all your agency approvals are in. If you're regulated by some regulatory board, make sure you have those approvals, your trade name, other stuff like that that will ease your process of making it a smooth process.
Now, you talked about other agencies. Give us an example of an interagency requirement, or give us an example, because some people may not understand that I'm
That's correct.
required to bring certification or registration or documentation from another entity.
That's correct. So an example as simple as the doctor's office. We are not the regulators for the certifying or the validation of your credentials as a doctor. And so we require Ministry of Health approval, the doctor's board approval, and then your facility has to be approved as related to be a facility that can handle certain clinical materials. So the department has moved away of being that compliance agency for the various ministries and regulatory approvals. So once they come into us, we ask them to have those. We are not to ensure that this person's credentials is accepted. And so those approvals from the regulator has to accompany with the business license. The other thing is which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Right.
You know, we hear this especially from SBDC. Someone wants to bring in a boat, right? And they want a grant from some other institution. But we can't give them the business license for a boat because in order for it, you need to have a boat license. So if there's no information about it being approved by the regulator, Port Authority, we are at a impasse. And so that's the challenges for a lot of individuals. How do I get over these small hurdles in the business license process? And the government has reviewed that, and some things where we call low risk, they have introduced what is called a provisional license, and that gives you 90 days to get what is necessary. But you have to show to the department that you have intent, submitted an application to the regulator. Now, this is low risk. This is not for a bank
Right.
or an XYZ or what we call a traveling salesperson. That's not a low risk individual. And so we're trying to meet people where we are. The challenges we're having is the move now to mobile business. What is a mobile doctor? Who regulates a mobile doctor? Who regulates, I see now, a mobile barber shop that's now on our key or in public spaces? Who is the regulator for that? And so as the times have changed, we try to improve, to have some conversation with the regulators and see how we can make it easier and where are the trends going within the various industries.
So it's fair to say then that the listeners need to appreciate the fact that inland revenue is also evolving.
Yes.
Not only on our side of the fence, but as a regulator, you're understanding the needs of entrepreneurs and businesses. So you're making those adjustments to accommodate. One of the common questions I get in my business from some of my customers, particularly the young ones, is, well, I have a TIN number, so I should be able to operate. And many people confuse a TIN number and a business license. They believe that a TIN number serves as. Talk to us a little bit about the difference and why it's so important to understand that there is a distinction between both.
Well, there is a move. We're waiting for a national identification number, and for us as an individual or a non-individual, the tax identification number is just the beginning step to giving an identification. You go into some place. We are following what is called the ease of doing business international document, and where so everyone has the same unique identification number. After you get the tax identification number, then you will proceed into either receiving a value-added tax, VAT certificate, or business license. So the TIN is just the unique identification. So you should not have 3 Beckles.
Right.
There should only be 1 John Doe. And if that's what you are, that's what your tax identification is. And all of your taxable activities is underneath. We've visited some places where even if you went to get a permit for grave digging, that unique identification number, the tax identification number, is used.
So it's an NIV number for business.
Yes. Well, not just business.
Right.
So as the tax identification number is also used for the Substance Act,
Right.
identifying an individual.
Okay. When we come back from our break, we want to talk a little bit about tools and resources that the Department of Inland Revenue provides for businesses. And so we'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
After 30 years of banking, I've decided to take a leap of faith. I moved from banking into an untapped industry, which is manufacturing in the Bahamas. And now we are standing on 3 acres of land on which we're going to be putting the Bahamas' first end-to-end plastic recycling company, Eden Recycling and Manufacturing Company Limited. Eden has 2 arms, recycling and manufacturing. We're going to be partnering with government. We're going to be partnering with other private companies. We're going to be working with these partners to help reduce plastics from going into the landfill.
This is groundbreaking for us. If it's never been done before, it really makes a difference, not only in the Bahamas, but even around the world.
The first of our major milestone over the last 12 months was the signing of this lease agreement with BAIC. So BAIC gave us 3 acres of land in which to do the recycling arm of Eden. The second major milestone was the securing of 2 buildings, and they're on the way.
3 acres to some, it's a lot. For us, we know it's not nearly enough, but it is a wonderful place to begin. And I think it's going to make a huge difference, not only to Nassau, but even to the Bahamas in terms of what it is we're trying to do in the field of environmental protection.
Okay, the overarching support from the SBDC was really the belief. When I first met with them, immediately they bought into the project and said, like, yeah, what can we do to help? So the support with SBDC just continued to grow from day one with that belief to where we are today.
This is not just a project that we're doing so that we can make a couple of dollars. We want to make sure that it benefits those who come after us. In future generations, we hope that this is a small vision, that they will take it and they'll expand on it. We can have the formula for what it means to do end-to-end recycling in the Bahamas, in the region, and even if we have to export these ideas and thoughts and concepts even into the U.S.
For more information about the Men in Business Initiative, contact the Small Business Development Center at 461-7232 or at helpdesk@sbdcbahamas.com. To learn about our other initiatives, follow us on our SBDC Bahamas social media platforms.
The Department of Inland Revenue invites you to kick off the new year with us. This January, join us for exciting events, including free training seminars on business license renewals and VAT filing. Plus, we're celebrating our VATiversary, 10 years of service and partnership with you, our valued taxpayers. Visit inlandrevenue.finance.gov.bs or call us at 242-225-7280 for event details and registration.
Welcome back to the SBDC's Business Blueprint. We're here today with Dexter Fernando and Charlene Barton discussing the importance of the process of formalizing your business. And so in the previous segment, we talked about some of the challenges that we have accessing and working through navigating the process of business licensing. But obviously, you've done a great job. What are some of the challenges the department has had with us as consumers accessing it? And then what are some of the tools that the department provides, some of the help tools, and where could we find those tools?
Okay. As it relates to challenges we have is, I think one of the major challenges is that we get applications in that don't have all the requirements. And the taxpayer doesn't understand that it's a 21-day process before the system itself shuts the case down. So we have a lot of videos, we have a lot of YouTube videos, we have a lot of paperwork on how to follow the process and what requirements you would need as it relates to this process to make it easy for you as you go through this.
Are those now available online?
Yeah,
Do we
they are
pick those
available.
up in physical form at your department? Where can we find those?
They can be accessed online. It's on our website, inlandrevenuefinance.gov.bs. Also, we also have pamphlets we can give out at our offices. We have 3 locations, 2 that are accessible to the public, 1 isn't. We have an office on Carmichael Road in the same building as Scotiabank, and also Courtesy House, the old Royal Bank on Carmichael Road.
Does the department offer information sessions outside of what's accessible online? Sometimes we know that there's an information gap between what the consumer should know or the business owner should know and what the expectations are for the department. But does the department offer such?
Yes, we look forward to a partnership anytime, industry partners come together and want that type of information. Also, periodically, we have webinars on our page. If those who follow our social media handles, we have webinars and, informal tutorials and peer tutoring for individuals who come to us and need those information. As an example, we had some on those just for filing VAT who needed some assistance on how do they account for the VAT.
Right.
And so we also have a specific focus as we go along, and we see the need for a topic.
Before we get into tax and taxation and the implications of that on business licenses, I wanted to talk a little bit about the other benefit of why we should register our businesses, because there are some legal protections
That's correct.
that and operational credibility. It's important to know that businesses are licensed and duly regulated to operate. So talk to us about those legal protections and the credibility component and why that's so important to businesses, young or old.
Yeah, you said it. It helps the business to validate for customer satisfaction that they have a business license, that you are operating or you are doing business with someone which is in the bracket. We have a challenge sometimes identifying individuals. You want to ensure that the trademark and your patent and those stuff, that legal assistance that you have. And then also, as you consider the legal structure of your company, as you move into a non-individual, that's corporate entity, you set aside the liability
Right.
compared to your individual liability compared to the organization's liability.
When we think of the Department of Inland Revenue, the only three-letter word that comes out is tax, right? The reality of it is everyone ought to pay their fair share of taxes. We get that. But there are a lot of individuals who don't really understand that I may have gotten a license once. Next year, I have to prove that I am tax compliant. Let's talk about why that's so important for the renewal of your business license.
Yes. So in the renewal of the business license, we've more focused on taxes. As you go from year to year, we hope that you are compliant with the other regulators. And it's important that we have that relationship with the regulators, that they would tell us if there is any infraction. We've made it easier as the consumer or the registrant to just submit, declare, and if there is any taxes paid, and move on. We ask that individuals be honest with their returns.
Say that again.
Honest.
Okay, all right.
We want that because it also helps the other agencies. Our database are shared with the Department of Statistics.
Right.
And so it gives them an understanding of where trends are moving. If you are not renewing your license, you're not telling us or declaring how many you employ, then, or if the truthful of the turnover of the company, we have a lack of information data source that can be used for helpful information. For example, there's always a need for someone wants to know what's the demographic for where they're moving to. And so if a person wants to be interested in, let's say, cosmetology, and they want to know how many people are in Exuma, if the individuals in Exuma are not renewing on an annual basis, there is a limited information as related to for that area. So we're asking individuals, first of all, declare the honest amount.
Right, right.
And we all pay our part in taxes. And the government has made it easy. Those who are declaring under $250,000 now do not even need an accounting certification.
Right.
And if you're under $100,000, the license is free.
Right. So then this is part and parcel of why we see now when we go on certain websites to register our business, to do business with any other business in the Bahamas, they ask for a business license, they ask for a TIN number, and they ask if you're NIB compliant.
Yes.
And this is part of the evolving landscape of doing business. So businesses really need to pay attention to the other entities in government that they need to be compliant with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's the tax compliance certificate, and that says that you are reached a certain level with 7 basic taxes across the government. And so if the government is giving you funds or you're getting a line of assistance, exemption on items, they're asking that you at least to be compliant. If I'm going to give you something, at a minimum, you're compliant with the taxes.
And that's fair.
That's right.
That's fair.
And now you see that the banks, if you have a business account, they should be asking you every year for a copy of your current business license. By March of the year, they should be asking you for a copy of your annual business license.
So this has certainly been an exciting conversation thus far. When we come back, we'll talk about the impact of property tax on business licenses and in that process. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back from this break, we will get right into our mentorship moment with Ariel Pinder.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online marketplace built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, at home, and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting TingsyBahamas.com.
Hi, I'm Kizzy Hanna, and I am the CEO of Nail Envy Salon Studio and Nail Envy Academy. My business offers education for beginner level, intermediate, and advanced level nail classes for those persons who would like to become nail technicians and continue that education for those persons that are in the professional atmosphere already. So our curriculum has already been vetted and approved by the National Accreditation and Equivalency Council of the Bahamas. What distinguishes Nail Envy Academy from the competitors, we are really focused on relaying our information in a proper and conducive environment, making sure that our students are getting that one-on-one attention that is needed to be able to send them out into the field and be able to be successful in their occupation. I am so passionate about what I do because I want young women to know that not everyone has to have tertiary education. You can throw your whole self at something and bring a difference to your industry.
For more information about the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative and the Crafting the Bahamas workshops, email info@sbdcbahamas.com or call us at 461-7232.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Hi, everyone. I'm Ariel Pinder, your host for the Mentorship Minute. Today's tip is all about cash flow management, one of the most crucial aspects of running a successful business. Effective cash flow management means not only knowing how much money is coming into your business, but also how much money is going out. Start by creating a monthly cash flow statement so you can track your revenue and expenses. By staying on top of these figures, you can spot trends, predict shortfalls, and avoid the surprise of an empty bank account. Remember, when cash flow is tight, prioritize payments to essential vendors and to negotiate extended terms when possible. This helps keep operations running smoothly while giving you some flexibility. The Small Business Development Center wants to help you succeed as you grow your business. When you need help developing your business, reach out to us via SBDCbahamas.com.
Thank you, Ariel. As we wrap up this episode, I'd like to thank our special guests, Dexter Fernando and Charlene Barton, for joining us. In the last segment, you mentioned something about the 7 other taxable agencies or areas. Most people probably don't even know what those 7 areas are. Help us understand what those other 7 taxable agencies or areas that we must be compliant with.
Okay, so when you submit for tax compliance with the department, we check 7 different agencies. We check the National Insurance Board. We also check the courts. We also check immigration, customs, and we check our in-house real property tax, value-added tax, and business license.
Aha. So all of those agencies essentially verify that I am now able or capable, qualified to submit or resubmit for reissuance of
the tax
a
compliance.
tax. Okay,
That's
excellent.
correct.
So that makes up your tax compliance comment. 7 of them, I can guarantee you, most people didn't even realize that. And so that's very, very, very good information to know. So thank you so much for that.
Welcome.
In recent times, there's been a lot of conversation about obtaining our stamp, right?
That's correct.
It's been somewhat of an ambiguous comment about the stamp. Tell us, what is that stamp that businesses must attain in order to be in compliance?
Okay, so they're talking about VAT stamp, and that's on realty transactions. We have found, and unfortunately, it's when individuals come after the end of their mortgage and they get that, supposed to get that clear title, or what people call the Bahamas burning of their mortgage, they realize that their documents were never stamped. So documents from the 60s, the 70s have not been stamped. some commercial banks might have outsourced that transaction or that activity to someone, and someone around the line dropped the ball. So now the Bahamas government has introduced an amnesty period that ends on November 30 at 11:59 p.m. where we are allowing individuals to check their documents, check their conveyances, check their deeds, check their inter vivo gifts, and ensure that there's either an exempt stamp or where the fees on that transaction has been paid to government. Note, I'm not talking about the mortgage, but the actual conveyance document has neither been stamped, neither been registered, neither declared. So what we found out is that individuals only find this out when there is a dispute about a property. Unfortunately, we have individuals who are selling the same property to multiple persons and are assuming that those individuals have passed. And that's where the challenge of in-house financing. And I always recommend that individuals get a separate lawyer from that of who's doing the transaction for them. But check your documents. I'm asking for grandchildren to mothers and fathers to check their parents' documents and ensure that they're stamped. And doing this amnesty, so what this amnesty talks about, we will stamp the document at the value at the time of when it should have come to the department in 70s or the 60s or the 80s. What the act really says is you should stamp it at current market value. So if you have a house on that property and you purchase it at vacant land, we're supposed to stamp you currently at the value of everything on that property.
Wow. There's a lot of information that you shared today that the average Bahamian simply was not even aware of. So as we evolve as a developing country and as we adopt new ways of doing business, the information gap is also going to be needed to be closed. And we're happy that you're here today because the SBDC, who remains a center of resource, a resource center for small businesses, is also now moving to the point where we are accessing information from your entities and also using your links on our website so that our clients can actually have access to these. One of the things that hopefully we can do in the future is these 7 agencies that you just talked about, ensure that we have links on our sites so that our customers can actually see these things. Yes. So as we wrap up our time together, final thoughts as we evolve, and we've been talking about this whole evolution of business. Any final thoughts that you would offer to our entrepreneurs?
Well, I'd like to say, as you're going into business, you're important to us. The entrepreneur is important. It stimulates growth in the economy. I would say, find someone, find a friend, find an SBDC. Do your market research. Even find a friend that could help you understand the materials, read, figure out what you're going into before you make that step into becoming a business. What is the regulator? What is necessary? So find someone that you can trust with your idea, and then let's see how best to navigate where you are. Especially if you're thinking about for 2025, you want a business license, start the process now of seeing what is necessary to become a valid business registrant within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Charlene, final thoughts?
Yeah, and in starting that process, you can go to our website. Like I said, we have YouTube videos. Check our social media handles. You know, they assist you in navigating our system.
Thank you so much. The Department of Inland Revenue has been well represented today, and we thank you both. We hope that this discussion has provided you with useful information and some inspiration. Thanks for tuning in to the SBDC's Business Blueprint. We look forward to you joining us again on another program. Until then, make sure that you turn your insights into success. We'll see you soon.